My addiction is to opiate painkillers,
and when
specifically oxycodone, OxyContin.
He testified that months after the killings of his wife and son, he asked Eddie Smith, his supposed drug dealer, to shoot him, believing his multi-million-dollar life insurance policy would go to his surviving son, Buster.
Why did you ask him to shoot you? What was the end goal that you wanted to accomplish?
I meant for him to shoot me so I'd be gone.
And who was this? Who did you ask to do this?
Eddie Smith.
And did he in fact shoot you?
He did.
And you wonder why so many people are following this case. But on cross-examination, the prosecution grilled him on his swindling clients out of millions, suggesting that he's now snookering the jury the same way he did those clients.
But every single one of these, you had to sit down and look somebody in the eye and convince them that you were on their side when you were not, correct? That's what you did in every single one of these.
I mean, every time...
Answer my question, yes or no, and then you can explain. I'll let you explain all day long.
Well, I mean, no, sir, that may or may not be true.
Okay.
And, Mr. Waters, just to try to get through this quicker, I admit...
I know you want to get through it quicker, but we're not. So answer the question, please.
What I admit is that I misled them, I did wrong, and that I stole their money.
And at times, it got heated.
You have charged me with murdering my wife and my son, and I've sat here for all these weeks listening to all this financial stuff that I did wrong, that I'm embarrassed by. I'm happy to talk to you about as much of that as you want to talk about. I'm required to talk about it as much as you want to talk about it. But the fact is I cannot specifically remember sitting down, the details that you're asking me for, I can't tell you.
Whew. They went through it again and again. Jesse Weber back with us, as well as Donte Mills. Plus, we're joined by my old friend, Loni Coombs, a former LA-based prosecutor who is following this case closely as well. All right, Loni, let me let you weigh in on the prosecution's cross-examination so far. How do you think they're doing?
You know, I actually think Creighton is doing a good job and that he's hitting some good points. He's talking about how big this family was, how powerful in this area. He's talking about how Alex kind of considered himself his own little law enforcement agency with his badge and his blue lights on his car and his gun in his car. And he's going into the financials. Here's where Creighton is making a mistake, as he has done many times in this trial. He is beating the financial crimes too much. Now, as a prosecutor for 18 years, I know exactly what he was wanting to do here. He wants to be able to say in closing argument to the jurors, remember how many times Alex sat across from these clients that he cared about, that he promised he would take care of, these people he thought was so honorable, and he told him that everything was going to be okay while he was literally hiding their money in his pockets and taking it away. Remember when he sat there in the witness stand and turned to you and faced you and looked you eye in the eye and told you, I didn't kill my wife. I didn't kill my son. How can you believe him? He's so good at this. Look at the skill that he has in lying and manipulating people. So I know what Creighton was getting to, but he takes way too long to get there. He keeps going over and over again. And I think Gigi was really right on point when she said, the jurors are losing it. And as a prosecutor, as an attorney, anyone in that courtroom, you always have to be watching the jurors, right? Your evidence can be the best evidence in the world. If the jurors don't care about it anymore, forget it. It doesn't matter. You've got to be paying attention to, are they still interested or do you need to move on?
I think everything she said is absolutely true. But Donte, let me ask you this. Is it going to make a difference in the end? I mean, that's the real question, right? Let's assume the prosecutor's going too far. Let's assume that he ought to sort of wrap this up earlier. Is that going to make or break the case?
I'll tell you this, Dan. You talked about a poll that was conducted.
Yes.
Well, I conducted my own poll, kind of.
Yeah.
My mother-in-law called me.
Right, yeah.
And she told me I thought he did it until today when he took the stand, and now I don't know if he's a person that could have killed his wife and son.
Wow, all right.
The financial stuff, it's not a who cares, but stealing is much different than killing.
Yes, it is. Let me read the poll now from the Law and Crime Network. When they had 39,000 votes in, it was 65% believe guilty, 13% not guilty, 14% hung jury, 8% undecided. When they got up to 42,000 votes or something, it got closer to 70% guilty. but that's still enough for a hung jury.
Yeah, that's what I've always believed. I think what you're saying is kind of a microcosm. Everybody I speak to has a different opinion on this case. I look at it, there's weaknesses in the prosecution case, there's strength in the defense. I think it's going to be split.
All right, thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.